Let's start our first news with Islam reacting to Ian Garry's comments about their face-off. Ian claimed that Islam looked nervous, but Islam seems completely confused by that assessment. Speaking during Fight Week, Islam addressed Ian's comments and made it clear that he simply did not understand where they came from. According to Islam, there was nothing unusual about his behavior, and he certainly was not feeling nervous. Islam explained that he has been in this position before and knows exactly what to expect when the pressure of Fight Week begins to build. He said he looked directly at Ian during their face-off, but did not see anything in his eyes that made him feel concerned or intimidated. In fact, Islam revealed that he is experiencing the opposite of nerves this time around. Instead of feeling anxious, he says he is genuinely enjoying every moment of the experience. Islam described this as only the second fight week of his career where he has been able to fully enjoy everything surrounding the event. Rather than allowing the pressure to get to him, he appears relaxed, confident, and completely comfortable with the situation. That confidence could be important heading into his matchup with Ian Garry. While Ian may have interpreted Islam's expression as nervousness, Islam clearly sees it differently. From his perspective, there was no fear, no hesitation, and no sign of nerves during their face-off. He was simply standing there, taking in the moment, and preparing for another major challenge. With fight night getting closer, Islam's calm attitude suggests that he is mentally ready for whatever Ian brings into the cage. Move on to another news, because Dana White has just dropped a very interesting tease about what could be the next major UFC event. Following the huge success of the UFC White House event, Dana revealed that something big may already be in the works behind the scenes. While he did not reveal exactly what the UFC is planning, his comments strongly suggest that another major spectacle could be coming. Dana specifically praised his head of production, Craig Borsari, for the incredible job he did putting the White House event together. Dana admitted that Craig was feeling pretty cocky after absolutely killing it with the production. And apparently, that confidence has already led to another ambitious idea. According to Dana, Craig was the person who came up with the concept that they are currently discussing. Dana made it clear that he loves the idea, but there is still plenty of work that needs to happen before anything becomes official. He explained that he needs to do more groundwork and figure out whether the event is actually possible. So, at this stage, nothing has been officially announced, but the fact that Dana is already discussing the idea has UFC fans paying close attention. And there is one particularly exciting detail. Dana promised that if he does move forward with the project, he will announce it right there before revealing it anywhere else. That means whatever Craig has proposed must be something Dana believes could become another major moment for the UFC. After the massive attention generated by the White House event, the promotion clearly sees the potential in creating even bigger and more unconventional events. For now, Dana is keeping the details secret, but his comments make one thing clear: something major could already be taking shape inside the UFC. Move on to another news, because Ian Garry has already revealed who he believes should be next in line for a UFC title shot if he gets past Islam this weekend. According to Ian, Carlos Prates has earned the opportunity more than anyone else in the division. He believes every other contender still needs at least one more victory before they can realistically claim a title shot. Ian pointed directly at Prates' recent performances, highlighting the fact that he has beaten two opponents who had never been finished before. And he did it in extremely impressive fashion. But Ian also reminded everyone of his own history with Prates. He claimed that he dominated Prates for 24 minutes when they previously fought, despite accepting the matchup on just 3 weeks' notice. Because of that, Ian believes he would have no problem facing Prates again if the UFC gives him enough time to prepare. Ian even suggested that if Prates gives him 3 or 4 months, the outcome of their next fight could be even more decisive. But Ian wasn't only talking about potential opponents. He also shared his thoughts on what he considers the most important quality an MMA fighter can have. For Ian, it all comes down to mental fortitude. He explained that confidence and the ability to keep pushing yourself through difficult moments can be more valuable than any individual physical skill. He used wrestling as an example, saying that if a striker gets taken down, the most important thing is not simply knowing how to get back to their feet. It's the mindset that tells them, I can get out of this. I can keep going. According to Ian, maintaining that positive internal dialogue under pressure is an even more impressive skill than the physical act itself. He believes technical skills can be taught. You can teach someone how to strike. You can teach someone how to wrestle. You can teach someone jiu-jitsu. But none of that matters if the fighter isn't mentally locked in. In Ian's view, if you don't truly want it and aren't completely focused mentally, your physical abilities will only take you so far. For him, the mind is ultimately what determines whether all that training becomes success inside the cage. Move on to another news, because Islam Makhachev has extended an open invitation to two of the biggest names in MMA, Demetrious Johnson and Alexander Volkanovski, to come to Dagestan and experience the famous training culture for themselves. The invitation quickly turned into a hilarious conversation, because both Demetrious and Volk had basically the same response. Before making any plans, they needed to talk to their wives first. Islam jokingly offered to handle the situation, telling them not to worry and promising that he would take care of everything. But the two former champions made it clear that marriage comes first. The conversation became even funnier when Islam suggested that they should spend 2 to 3 years in Dagestan. That immediately raised another concern. What about their children? Islam's answer was simple: bring them. He reminded them that he had already told them before that their families were welcome to come along. But while spending several years in Dagestan sounded difficult, the idea of spending a few days there seemed much more realistic. Demetrious joked that he might not have 2 or 3 free years available, but he could probably find 2 or 3 days. Islam wasn't convinced. He explained that 2 or 3 days would barely be enough to experience the mountains, hunt, cook, and get a taste of the lifestyle. According to Islam, they needed to stay for at least 2 or 3 weeks. That sounded much more achievable, and Demetrious agreed that he and his team genuinely want to make the trip happen. He explained that they had already discussed the idea internally and fully expected to visit Dagestan at some point. But then the conversation returned to the one obstacle that both fighters kept mentioning: their wives. Demetrious jokingly admitted that he couldn't simply announce the trip without checking with his wife first. However, he also revealed that she would probably love the experience. In fact, he had already spoken with her about the possibility. Islam then made the invitation even more welcoming, telling Demetrious to bring his family and especially his daughters. What started as a simple invitation could eventually turn into an unforgettable MMA experience, with two legendary champions getting the chance to train, explore the mountains, and spend time with Islam in Dagestan. Move on to another news, because Islam Makhachev has surprisingly positive things to say about Ilia, and believes the former champion has what it takes to reach the top of the UFC again. While speaking with Demetrious Johnson, Islam was asked about Ilia's future following his recent setback and whether he believes the young fighter can bounce back from it. Islam's answer was clear. He believes Ilia is still young, which means he has plenty of time to recover, improve, and rebuild his career. Rather than viewing the loss as something that could permanently damage Ilia's future, Islam sees it as another chapter in the career of a fighter who still has tremendous potential. Islam explained that he genuinely considers Ilia a great fighter. He pointed out several areas of Ilia's game that impressed him, especially his striking and power. According to Islam, Ilia has very good punches and dangerous skills on the feet. But that's not the only part of his game that caught Islam's attention. He also praised Ilia's wrestling and his ability to fight effectively on the ground. In Islam's view, Ilia has a well-rounded skill set that can allow him to compete with the very best fighters in the UFC. However, Islam believes there is one major factor that will determine whether Ilia can return to championship glory: focus. Islam explained that if Ilia can regain his focus, continue developing his skills, and stay mentally committed to the process, he believes another championship run is absolutely possible. In fact, Islam went as far as saying that Ilia could become UFC champion again. Of course, Islam stopped short of making a guarantee. He admitted that nobody can know exactly what will happen next in Ilia's career. But his overall message was extremely positive. Islam believes Ilia has the talent, youth, physical abilities, and technical skills necessary to climb back to the top. He also acknowledged that the loss could have a major impact on Ilia's life, but that impact could go in either direction. A setback like this can either break a fighter's confidence or become the moment that forces them to grow. For now, Islam clearly believes Ilia still has plenty left to accomplish. And if the former champion can regain his focus, sharpen his skills, and keep moving forward, Islam believes there is a real possibility that Ilia could once again hold UFC gold. Move on to another news, because Merab has once again fired back at Umar and others who continue talking about the incident involving him in Georgia. Merab made it clear that he is not interested in hearing people who were not there continue to discuss what happened or try to provoke him with trash talk. He explained that if someone approaches him aggressively, disrespects him, or starts speaking to him in a provocative way, he is going to react according to the way he was raised. Merab said that if someone pulls him over, disrespects him, and gets loud in his face, they should expect a strong reaction. He emphasized that this comes from his personality, his upbringing, and his culture. However, Merab also made an important distinction about the actual incident. After everything happened, he realized that he was in Georgia, and he quickly saw how strongly people around him reacted. He said that many Georgian teenagers in Tbilisi wanted to fight, while even his own friends were ready to get involved. But according to Merab, the situation itself was eventually resolved. He said he found the person involved in the incident, shook his hand, and made peace with him. As far as Merab was concerned, everything was done, and there were no remaining issues between them. That's why he is now frustrated with people who weren't even present, but continue talking about the situation. Merab accused them of trying to provoke him and keep the controversy alive by constantly making comments about something they didn't personally witness. His message was straightforward. If you weren't there, you don't know exactly what happened. He urged those people to stop the nonsense and stop trying to create more drama around the incident. Merab also made it clear that he believes some of these people need to grow up and learn more about life before continuing to speak on situations they don't understand. For Merab, the original incident is already over. He settled things directly with the person involved, and he has no interest in allowing outsiders to keep creating unnecessary problems. Move on to another news, because Conor has made it clear that he is rooting for Garry ahead of his huge matchup with Islam. The former UFC champion reacted to the intense face-off between Ian and Islam on Instagram, and his message immediately caught attention. Conor wrote, "Come on, Garry, target that big mallet." The comment was short, but the meaning was obvious. Conor appears to be firmly backing Ian, heading into one of the biggest fights of his career. The face-off between Ian and Islam has already generated plenty of discussion, with both fighters looking confident and focused ahead of their showdown. But now, Ian has received some high-profile support from one of the biggest stars the UFC has ever produced. Conor's message also fits perfectly with his personality. Rather than simply wishing Ian good luck, he gave him a direct instruction, encouraging him to target Islam's head and look for a decisive moment. For Ian, getting support from someone like Conor could provide an additional boost heading into fight night. Conor knows exactly what it takes to compete under the brightest lights in the UFC. He has experienced championship fights, massive pressure, intense face-offs, and some of the biggest moments in the sport. So when someone with that level of experience publicly backs you, it naturally gets attention. Ian has already made it clear that he believes he belongs at the top of the division, and now he has another major name publicly supporting him. The timing is especially interesting because Ian is preparing for a difficult challenge against Islam, who has built a reputation as one of the most dangerous and technically complete fighters in the UFC. With fight night approaching, every bit of support matters. Ian will now have to turn all the confidence, preparation, and outside support into performance inside the cage. And while Conor's message may have been brief, it sent a very clear signal about who he wants to see succeed. For now, Conor is firmly in Ian's corner, and the Irish superstar appears to be hoping that Ian can pull off the upset and deliver a massive statement against Islam.